Hey folks, want to jump on here and shoot a quick podcast episode. This one's going to be on the MacBook Neo. I'm excited to get into this particular episode. I think it has a lot of value for people outside of business as well. So let's get into it. What is the quote MacBook Neo end quote? The MacBook Neo is a new budget Apple laptop designed to be much cheaper than the usual MacBook Air or Pro. Starts around $599 USD, equals to approximately $900 AUD. Uses an A18 Pro chip, same type as iPhones, not M series. Comes with gigabyte RAM plus 256 gigabyte storage. Battery about approximately 10 hours. Think of it as a, quote, basic MacBook for everyday use, end quote. What it's good for, the Neo is designed for light tasks, browsing, YouTube, Netflix, schoolwork, email, Zoom, basic apps, Word, Google Docs. It's fast enough for simple stuff, even similar to newer MacBooks or newer Macs, in single tasks. What it's not good for, because it uses an iPhone style chip, heavy editing, video, 3D coding projects, gaming, multitasking with many apps, it's noticeably weaker than Series Macs in multi-core performance. Better alternatives, real MacBooks. If you want a proper MacBook, here are common options. MacBook Air, best for most people. Apple MacBook Air 13-inch M3 chip, $1,777. Not sure if that's AUD or USD. Harvey Norman. Sec. Yeah, that would be an AUD. For those of you aren't aware, that's Australian dollars. It says a 4.8 rating. Lightweight everyday laptop with powerful M3 chip and excellent battery life. M chip, much faster than Neo. Great battery plus premium build. Perfect for students and work. MacBook Pro for power users, or Apple MacBook Pro M3, $658.99, presuming AUD, 4.8 rating. High performance laptop for editing, coding, and demanding workloads. Way stronger performance, better display and coding. Ideal for creators / devs. Quick comparison, feature, performance. MacBook Neo, basic. MacBook Air M3, strong. MacBook Pro M3, very powerful. Chip, MacBook Neo A Pro, MacBook Air M3, MacBook Pro M3, M3/M3 Pro. Price, feature, the price, which is pretty straightforward. MacBook Neo, cheapest. MacBook Air M3 is a bit more expensive. MacBook Pro M3 is a lot more expensive. Feature, best for a MacBook Neo, casual use. MacBook Air M3, student / work. MacBook Pro M3 Pro work. Bottom line, a MacBook Neo equals cheap plus basic. MacBook Air equals best value overall. MacBook Pro equals high performance. And we'll get into here's the best picks right now, the 2024, 2025 models and what you should choose. We went over it briefly, so I won't get into it too much. Just compares the MacBook Air MacBook Air M3, MacBook Honest advice important. The quote MacBook Neo end code is basically a budget / basic device. A real MacBook with an M chip is much better long term. If you can afford it, best pick MacBook Air M3. Budget pick MacBook Air M1. Power MacBook Pro. Simple recommendations: school / YouTube / normal use Air M3. Cheap but decent Air M1. Editing / coding Pro M3. Let's go over to gemini.google.com. The MacBook Neo was released on March 11, 2026 as Apple's most affordable laptop to date. Positioned as a budget-friendly entry point for students and first-time Mac users, it effectively replaces the old 13-inch MacBook Air M1 as the value leader in the lineup. Key specifications: the MacBook Neo uses a, quote, phone-first, end quote, processor to keep costs down while maintaining impressive efficiency. Feature: processor specification, Apple A18 Pro, 6-core CPU, 5-core GPU, memory, 8 gigabytes or GB unified memory, storage, 256 GB or gigabytes or 512 GB gigabytes SSD, display, 13-inch liquid retina, 200 or 2000 408 by 1506. Battery life up to 16 hours. Video playback, I think it's at 10 previously. Yeah, it said 10, approximately 10. The source was Good Housekeeping over on ChatGPT, but this is slightly different. Maybe it's somewhere from 10 to 16. Let's just check. Battery life of the MacBook Neo. Want to see a bit of the Matrix? Quite a long time. The 2026 MacBook Neo, powered by the A Pro chip, is designed for all-day endurance with official Apple ratings promising up to 16 hours of video playback and 11 hours of wireless web browsing. Real-world testing shows strong performance for a budget-focused laptop, though it is slightly less than the M5 MacBook Air. Battery performance highlights official rating up to 16 hours of video, 11 hours of web browsing. Real-world testing in Tom's Guide testing, the MacBook Neo lasted 13 hours and 28 minutes of continuous web surfing over Wi-Fi. So that would be more than a typical 9 to 5. You probably use it all day and then plug it in at nighttime. Daily usage, we'll talk about it here. Users report getting through a standard workday, e.g. 8:40 a.m. to p.m. with 50 to 60% battery remaining, even with mixed usage. Capacity, it features a 36.5 watt-hour lithium-ion battery. Longevity, the battery is designed to last over 1,000 full charge cycles while retaining at least 80% capacity. Factors affecting battery life, browsing choice. Using Safari is recommended for best battery performance. Third-party browsers like Firefox may slightly reduce battery life, with some reports suggesting only 5 to 6 hours with heavy non-optimized browser usage. Comparison, the MacBook Neo lasts about 2 hours less than the M5 MacBook Air in web testing, but is much more affordable with similar day-to-day usability. The MacBook Neo is marked as Apple's lowest carbon MacBook, featuring 100% recycled cobalt in the battery. The source is Apple. Cobalt, cobalt, is a hard, lustrous silver gray metal, atomic number 27, primarily known for its role in rechargeable lithium-ion batteries and high-strength alloys. It is critical for technologies, electronics, and aerospace industries. Cobalt is relatively rare in the Earth's crust, with roughly 70% of global production coming from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Key characteristics and usage. Batteries. Cobalt is a critical component in rechargeable batteries for electric vehicles, EVs, smartphones, and laptops. Alloys. It is used to make magnetic, wear-resistant, and high-strength alloys for jet engines and gas turbines. Pigments. It has been used for centuries to produce a deep, quote, cobalt blue, end quote, color in glass, ceramics, and paints. Ceramics. Jeez, need a bit more food. Properties, it is ferromagnetic with a high melting point of 1,495 degrees centigrade and is relatively dense at 8.9 grams per centimeters. I want to say, one sec. It's probably way off a bit off the MacBook Neo, but we'll continue. Or maybe not. 8.9 grams per cubic centimeter. That was it. Health, it is an essential trace element, part of vitamin B12 for humans and ruminant animals, production and origin by product mining. Cobalt is rarely mined on its own. It is mostly produced as a byproduct of copper and nickel mining. Source, we talked about this briefly, the Democratic Republic of Congo holds over 50% of global reserves, making it the dominant source. History, identified by Swedish chemist George Brandt in 1735. Name comes from the German word cobalt, quote, goblin, end quote, as miners historically mistook it for other metals. That's great. A bit more context. But let's get back into it. I think we've covered most things. The weight, 2.7 pounds, 1.23 kg, which is probably easy to fit in a bag or handbag, or it's pretty light. Ports, 2 multiplied by USB-C, 1 USB 3.2 10 Gbps, 1 USB 2.0, and a 3.5mm jack. Design and color. The Neo features are a slightly thicker 0.5-inch aluminum chassis compared to the MacBook Air, but it leans into a playful aesthetic with vibrant color options: blush, pink, citrus, yellow, green, indigo, dark blue, silver. The keyboard and trackpad are color matched to the chassis. The chassis, I think it's correct. Chassis, yeah. Chassis. The word comes directly from the French, where the CH is pronounced like, quote, sh, end quote, and the final S is silent. Well, let's go back to the MacBook. What I really note that while it features a Magic Keyboard, it does not include a backlight on the base $599 model to reach that lower price point. Pricing, retail starts at $599 US and Australian dollars 800. And to clarify, that would be AU, Australian dollars. Education starts at $499 US for eligible students and teachers. Important trade-offs: to achieve its, quote, budget darling, end quote, status, Apple made a few strategic cuts. Display: no True Tone or P3 wide color support. External monitor supports only one external display up to 4K at each side. Keyboard: no backlighting on the entry-level configuration. Cooling: entirely fanless, silent, which is great for quiet libraries, but may throttle under heavy 3D rendering or sustained gaming. The MacBook Neo is clearly designed as a, quote, Chromebook killer, end quote, offering a premium build and the full Mac OS Tahoe experience at a price point Apple hasn't occupied in years. Let's go over to Claude. We're coming up on 15 minutes. Anything we can add? I don't think so. Just that the MacBook Neo is Apple's brand new entry-level laptop, and quite a big deal. Here's the rundown, which we got into most of it. The announcement was made on March 4, 2026 and released on March 11, 2026. Notably, it's the first Mac to use a Series A chip previously found in iPhones rather than an M series chip in other Macs. Key specs, we talked about it briefly, how it performs, the supply dilemma. What's next? A generation MacBook Neo with the A9 Pro chip and 12GB of RAM is expected next year. Overall, it's been very well received as a, quote, Mac for the masses, end quote. A solid, well-built machine aimed at students and everyday users who previously couldn't justify Mac pricing. Lovely, let's go back. One big thing about which is kind of that. Hopefully I haven't missed anything. Just in the Apple Store today and thought this was a perfect time to discuss. The MacBook. I'm a user of the MacBook and I really like it, so I'm just going to talk about it a bit. Here's one big thing about I don't have a MacBook Neo, just to clarify. It is another variation of the MacBook. Here is one, I believe I think we talked about it, just for anyone wondering, the MacBook Pro M3. So I think I have for heavy work, high performance laptop for demanding tasks like video editing and programming. I think it's the M1, one sec. I'll tell you now. Yeah, the M3 Pro. Mac OS Tahoe. Here's the one big thing about Mac Neo, explained simply. Biggest thing, it uses an iPhone chip, not a Mac chip. Apple MacBook Neo 13-inch A18 Pro is $1,099. Apple is a 4.7 rating, 411 reviews. This is one of the most important differences compared to normal MacBooks. Let me just click on this. Different product. This is on the Apple website. The MacBook Neo goes for the Australian dollars 1,099. The most important difference compared to the normal MacBooks, what that actually means: good side, very efficient, plus battery friendly, up to approximately 16 hours, silent, no fan at all, fast enough for schoolwork, browsing, YouTube/Netflix, basic apps. For everyday use, it feels smooth. Bad side, important, not as powerful as M series chips. Air/Pro struggles with heavy editing, gaming, big multitasking. It's built for light users, not power users. Why Apple made it: simple truth, it's a cheap entry MacBook designed for students, first-time laptop users, gets people into Apple ecosystem earlier. Simple explanation: MacBook Neo, like a big iPhone laptop. MacBook Air/Pro, real full power computers. Bottom line, the one big thing: MacBook Neo uses a phone chip, A18, not a laptop chip, N series. That's why it's cheaper, but also less powerful. That's it. Thanks for listening, folks. If you're getting some value from the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you left a review or follow along over on multiple different platforms. I think you can subscribe on YouTube as well. Get the video there and on Spotify. Have a great rest of your day.